to drive the 13 Mitigator Ford Fusion. I'd like to thank you for listening to Let's Talk Racing.tv.
Jr., driver of the number 5 Kiker Motorsports Camry. Welcome to Let's Talk Racing TV.
With Rockingham Speedway. Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Timothy Peters, driver of the number 17 Toyota in the Nascar Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Boehn, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
So you can go out of turn 2 on the lap.
Alright, well, Let's Talk Racing. Here we are at Let's Talk Racing. We got Andy on the line. Finished second, not at his own will, at Landing Speedway last week, or the other week. We got Jack and Roger. You threw me under the blade, so you did. You told me at the last minute here. You see how they treat me around here, Andy? It's
a tough crowd there.
You have no idea. It's like, you know how it is to work with handicapped people?
and buddy, me and Roger have been working with one for a while.
So Andy, give us a little bit of background about yourself and what you do and where you came from and so forth.
Well, right now we're running the Whelen Southern Modified Tour full time with the Ideal Racing number 11 owned by Eddie Harvey. I've been driving for him a few years. Been real fortunate to just really click with him right off the bat. I drove for Riggs Racing before that. I drove my own number 70 car part-time, just on every series. We used to travel a lot, and on the Northern Tour, the Southern Tour, and open shows and everything else. And, other than that, just from New Hampshire, hard-working family that loved racing, and I was lucky enough to just catch the attention of people like David Riggs and Eddie Harvey, and land, the top rides of the time, and we've been pretty successful at it. And the one thing missing is that Southern Tour Championship, and we're taking it pretty serious this year and giving it our best.
So, how have you done so far? How many races have you guys run?
We got 4 races so far this year. We're supposed to have 6, but weather hasn't cooperated all that much. We won 2 of them, including every lap at the season opener at Caraway, every lap but 1 at South Boston. We led this past race at Langley and finished 4th at Southern National. So far pretty good. We're leading points, and going into this spring break, we call it. We're in a good position, and hopefully when we get going again in July, we'll pick up where we left off.
So what did you think about Langley Speedway? Did you run here last year?
Yeah, I've run there every 4 race they've had there. I love the facility, beautiful facility. The racetrack's awesome, really promotes good side-by-side racing.
Mm-hmm.
When they paved it, didn't miss a beat, a little bit more grip than before, but the racing's still there. I love how enthusiastic the fans are. You really got passionate fans out there, and we look forward to coming out there every year. And I've been fortunate enough to win out there. Got a few other podium finishes, and when we're not finishing in the top 5, it's usually something went wrong. Either I wrecked it or other reasons, and just always like that place. Adapts really quick, and we were just a little bit disappointed. We came up 1 spot short this past race.
Yeah, I kind of thought you were a guy to beat, really, because it looked like the first half of the race that you were just kind of riding. Is that what you're doing, kind of saving your tires?
Yeah, we led a lot of the first half, and we were just saving our tires, and then George Brunholzl wanted to go real fast in the second half. So I let him go do that, get a lead, and then he started to give up, and I saved my tires just enough. I caught him with about 30 to go, and then we just had 2 cautions there that, for whatever reason, real lengthy cautions, a lot of cleanup, and we didn't get a whole lot of green flag racing at the end.
Yeah.
NASCAR didn't really like one of the restarts where I got the lead, and
They don't know what they're talking about
And
anyway.
the last one, it was a very questionable restart where they let the leader go pretty early, and it, it was a green white checker. I didn't catch him until the second, the white flag lap, and I just couldn't get enough to get around him. So very frustrating. I keep playing the race over in my head. What should I have done different? But you know what? If you catch the leader with 30 to go and you pass them and drive away from him, you did everything right. So we couldn't really overcome the circumstances of only 6 green flag laps in the last 30 laps, and overcome the circumstances of a poor judgment call on the restart.
Yeah, I thought you were going to put the bumper to him on the last lap.
I tried my best coming out.
It looked like you did.
He
Andy?
did everything he could and did all the right moves, rolled through the grass, and he basically wasn't going to let me by without wrecking him. And
Well, I can't say I blame you.
maybe I'm a little bit too nice. Maybe I should have, but that's not the way I drive. And we'll come back with the second place, and looking forward to going back there in the fall. And we're really coming back with a vengeance this time after the last couple races. We a lot of laps and we come up short.
So what did you think about those Wing Champ race, the first race out there that I was in?
Oh, that's the best race of the year. We look forward to that. We talk about it. Awesome finish. The front runners were real smart. Bumped Drafton, and then they all spread out on the last couple laps and made some great moves. And I'm really impressed with the car count in the camp, as well as the clean racing, and just it appears to be the Talladega camp car. Pretty impressive.
Well, I'm glad you said that the guys up front were smart, because one of the guys that was in the back is sitting beside me, and he ain't too bright.
I ended up 8th. I didn't. Hey, look, I showed up at like 4:30. I didn't get to practice, qualify. I just jumped in the cart and started at the rear of the field at a 30-cart field and ended up 8th. I don't think that's not.
But how many cars got disqualified in front of you?
4.
Okay.
That's all right.
Hey Andy, for what it's worth, some of my friends that were up in the stands watching the race, they did say that he broke loose his tires on that restart, and you were legitimate at what you did.
Yeah, I didn't really have in my mind going to that restart to try and get the lead. What I had in my mind was don't spin the tires and, have smooth shifts. And we came up to the restart line. He broke loose, and I didn't even get on the throttle until I knew this is the restart line, the end of the box, and I went. And, there's a lot of questionable things about that call. They're supposed to tell you on the back stretch if they feel you jumped it and they want you to give it back, and you're supposed to give it back by the next completed lap. And I led 3 laps before they told me that I jumped it, and I didn't really appreciate that late call, because it gave me, out of the 6 green flag laps at the end, there was 4 in that run and 2 in the green white checkered. I had to give the lead up, and then the caution came out. So in the last 30 laps, I did not have 1 lap to try and pass him. So it made it difficult, and I've talked to the NASCAR officials about it. They have been supplied with footage. I did get, personal apologies.
Maybe you got more than I ever got.
Now, you know what would have been the bad thing? Now, Brian Morehouse is usually with us on the show. He's one of your NASCAR officials out there.
Oh, he knows.
And so it would have been a little interesting tonight, but he's out at Richmond.
We can just blame Brian.
There you go.
That's probably for the best. But you know what, Brian's a great guy. He's one of the best officials they got. He's passionate. He wants to do it right. And
Are we talking about the same guy?
Yeah.
you know what? Serious Rex, and he's always the first one there to make sure I'm okay. So maybe I got a little soft spot for him, just making sure I'm all right.
Nah, he's a good guy.
No, he is, and he's, even though the officials are sometimes, considered the enemy, you got the competitors and the officials, we're all just a big traveling circus, a family.
Right.
At the end of the day, when we put our competitor hats on and they put their official hats on, sure, we're at odds sometimes, but when we're all relaxed, eating dinner in town or whatever it is, it's great that you have good people like Brian Morehouse and the rest of the officials that we can get along with, even though we were just screaming at each other about restart.
Sure, because I mean, without those guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
We all got to work together to make sure that this sport's enjoyable. And like I said, there's some people that you look forward to seeing at the track. Some people you don't. He's one of the ones I would make it a point.
Yeah.
I appreciate what he does.
So what is your long-term plan? Do you plan on moving forward, or are you trying to do maybe some truck or ARCA or any stock car stuff?
Yeah, I used to try and race as much as possible. And that would be weekly racing, dirt racing, asphalt racing, tour modified. And this year I'm trying a little bit different of approach. And I am 100% focused on the wheel and modified tour. I owe it to my team and my owner. But at the same time, I'm an addict just like everyone else. And when somebody called me yesterday and asked me if I want to drive their car at Bohn Racing Stadium, I started shaking.
Now wait a minute, weren't you trying to get in one of those wing champs last week?
Well, that's different. That's going to happen. I'm going to make that happen.
All right. Well, when you're ready, when you come back next, because y'all run again at Langley, right? This year?
Yep.
Yeah.
When Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. So when you do, if you just let me know, if you can't find something, I'll see what I can work up. We got 5 carts. So.
Mr. Mullis did offer it to me in the winter, and I said I would. But I know looking at those go-karts that there's a weight advantage if you're a few pounds lighter, and I just not down to my fighting weight where I want to be.
Hey, I'm 200 pounds. I mean, there's a couple big guys. We do okay out there. Obviously, the smaller you are, the better it is because you can put the lead where you want. But that's in any other.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just didn't make the phone call, and I know it's in best interest for my team to be completely focused on the modified. But to answer your question about moving on, yes, absolutely. A year and a half ago, I moved down to North Carolina. One of the reasons was to be in the shop with Eddie, and I think it's really paid off. When you got 5 wins in the last 8 races, that's it shows. That was all from hard work in the shop, and
I'll take those stats.
You don't get opportunities in New Hampshire. You're Bohn Racing, and somebody says, "Hey, come drive my car," and you say, "Okay, I can be there in a day." No, you have to be here tonight in the shop. We got to weigh out, and it just doesn't matter that you're willing to drive through the night for all that. You got to be down here, and it's happened. I've gone to test marker cars and trucks, and I got to attempt the race at Rockingham, didn't get in a truck, but those opportunities wouldn't be happening no matter how good I was if I was living in New Hampshire. So I make the most of this move, and so far it's paying off.
So what's your favorite track on the circuit then?
Well, you're going to think I'm just bullshitting you, but I really do like Langley.
That sucks up good.
It's a great 2-groove track, and a lot of tracks we go to, you struggle to get 2-groove racing. But, we get to race at Bristol, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Anything will beat Bristol. I'd race there weekly if they let me, and that's just like a roller coaster on steroids, pretty crazy. So that's an awesome track. I got some that I don't like, but I can't let my weaknesses go. Maybe my competitors are listening.
Yeah, you got that right. Now you were up in the Northeast. What are some of the tracks up there, the legendary old tracks up there that you run on?
I grew up at Star Speedway and Lee USA Speedway, and I was a big super modified guy, wing super modified, big block on Saturday night at Star Speedway was just there. I was just drooling as a little kid, foaming at a mouth, wanting to be a part of it. It's a lot like Langley, and I think that's probably what's helped me adapt. It's a place that's easy to overdrive, not a lot of banking, not a lot of straightaway. It's a little bit shorter, and that's just, I love going home there. And then when I was raised in New Hampshire on the short tracks, and they're the biggest track we go to is the third mile, and then when we started to venture out a little bit more, you go to Thompson, 5/8 of a mile high bank. It's like it's just the biggest track in the world, even though it's only 5/8. It's not Talladega, it's not 2.5, but it's pretty amazing. And so those are some of the places I grew up on, and I love going home to those places. And I'll be racing at Lee May 11th, and then Star Speedway in June, and really looking forward to that as well.
Now, when in your time in the Northeast, did you run against any of the legends like Reggie Ruggiero and Jamie Tomeno and all those guys?
Reg was he was getting out of it when I started getting in, but I was a teenager just getting some shots modified when he was still on top of his game. Tomeno was still racing, obviously. I know him pretty well because he's a former Ideal Racing driver, and they all keep in touch. So we still work together a little bit, note sharing over the phone. And yeah, the Mike Stefanik, the Tony Hirschman, I'm glad I got to race when Tony was still racing. I got the pleasure of racing with John Blewett before his accident, and that's something I'll always appreciate. He was really nice to me as a teenager, just trying to learn where to be on the track and all that. So I was very fortunate to race with some of those legends, and it's something I'll never forget for sure.
By the way, wanted to just thank you for letting us put the Let's Talk Racing sticker on the car. But,
oh, absolutely.
But
we'll try and spread the word.
But remember, you're supposed to win when we do this.
You're going to have to talk to your buddy Morehouse.
Hey, don't add no salt to the wound. It's already raw.
Yeah, I talked to some more officials today about it.
So travel around. What's your favorite place to eat at?
Out there or here?
Wherever you travel through. What's your favorite place to eat at?
Man, I'm kind of a foodie. I like a lot of places. Which doesn't really help my left side weight, issue there, but
That seems to be a topic we have on this show quite a bit, about eating places and eating establishments, and somehow it always pops into the show.
We're always looking for, wherever we go, we're looking for somewhere to eat. I mean, you can look at both of us. Some of us like to eat a little bit more than the other, but
I don't have Johnny Rocket spot.
yeah, do you have a food sponsor?
I do not.
Yeah.
Other than my mom, she makes some pretty good food, and when we win, we get lobster.
Duh.
Oh, well, look. When you...
I don't know whose trailer to hang around with now.
Yeah, so you'll have to talk to Morehouse about that because he's
We're going to get him.
Yeah, matter of fact, I talked to him today, and I think I'm going to have to talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're just picking on him. He didn't have anything to do with the decision making. He focuses mostly on the safety aspect, and like I said, he really does a great job. And like we talked about last time on the show, when I do a NASCAR race and I get in a NASCAR approved race car, I do feel a whole lot safer than some of the outlaw racing we do when I was racing sprint cars and super modified. But I'm an addict, like I said, so that doesn't mean it's going to stop me from getting in some of those other race cars.
Yeah.
But you appreciate it when you got guys like Morehouse really looking out for your best interest. When we're not thinking with our brain.
Yeah, well, that's a lot.
So where's your next race, and how long is that before you get back behind the wheel again?
Well, we'll be at the Lee USA Speedway in Lee, New Hampshire, May 11th for the Tri-Track Open Series. The next Whelen Southern Modified Tour event is going to be 4th of July weekend at Caraway. I'll be going to Talladega. I tested an ARCA car there a couple weeks ago. I'll be going just as a crew member next weekend on the 57 car for Brian Doza, who also raced the 97 modified at Langley. We've become buddies, and I help him out when I can. So looking forward to that, and like I said, just really focusing on this Whelen Southern Modified Tour. Giving it my best. So that's the big highlighted ones on our schedule.
Well, it sounds like that's what you're doing. I mean, how big a points lead do you have?
I'd have more if Langley went there.
Well, we're gonna ride Brian the next time we see him.
Yeah, no, we've got a 5-point advantage, which isn't a whole lot,
No, that's not a whole lot.
but it's still an advantage. It would have been a 10-point swing had things gone differently. We would have had 15, but can't dwell on it in the past, and got to move forward. I just figure if we win every race from here on out, we should have a good shot at it.
Well, that
usually works.
Well, we're hoping you win every race from here on out.
Yeah, because I want some lobster.
And we really want you to win when you come back to Langley.
Well, you want us to win Langley, but you also want me to win Bristol. Because that means, because we don't get the lobster till the following race.
Oh, okay.
Bristol. And then we'll have some at Langley, and hopefully we'll keep.
I see how it goes.
Okay, well, win Bristol.
Make sure you bring 3 extra lobsters.
That'll give you something to scream at the TV about.
Oh yeah, we'll be doing that.
Now, to be fair, if he doesn't be able to do it when he gets here to Langley, maybe we'll take him down to Red Lobster and provide him some lobster for supper.
I'm sure he don't want the red lobster. They're probably just junk compared to what he's used to.
They got live lobsters in there, though.
Come on now, Mr. Moss owns a seafood place. You're gonna bring me to Red Lobster?
All right, fine. I'll give Bill a call, and we'll just get some lobsters put together.
Hey, I don't think Bill's got lobster. He's probably got everything else, but lobster's not something that's generally around here.
But he gets sent in from other places too.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what, Andy, if you're really good, Scott here will take you to Johnny Rockets and get you a hamburger.
Hey, my deal is we get a sandwich, a fries, a drink, and a milkshake.
There's nothing wrong with that. That sounds pretty good.
Hey, you gotta eat, right?
That's right. It all works.
It's money in the bank.
Well, I'm glad he's offering it to you because he ain't offered me none yet.
I'm looking out for your best interest.
Now we did get that one thing with Extreme Pizza where we went out and ate there that one night.
Yeah. That wasn't my deal.
Okay.
That was another ring driver.
All right, Andy, go ahead and thank your sponsors and everything, and hope we'll get you back on here real soon, and hopefully we'll be eating lobster with you when you get to Langley.
Absolutely. Hopefully next time, we'll be talking about the wins and the lobster we're eating. But so we'll just be working on the Ideal Racing, Phoenix Pre-Owned Motors, Ideal Finance, Raymont Powered, Pro Shocks, Racing Electronics, Pro Systems Brakes Car, and hopefully we can spend some time with you guys in Victory Lane over Langley Labor Day weekend.
All right, well, we're looking forward to it.
Hey, get him here early enough. Maybe we'll just fix up some lobster and have it here.
Yeah, we can do that too. All right, man, we appreciate your time.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, man, talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
He's still a little ticked about that call.
Yeah, he was. Well, I don't know. Did you go see him at the pit?
No, I was
Well,
on the other side.
he was not a happy camper at all. I wish I'd
I can't
recorded
say
it.
I blame him. I mean, if they're supposed to tell you give it back on the same lap, and 3 laps later, because that could have been the difference
Well,
between
the
winning
thing
and not
was,
winning.
the leader spun his tires. At that point, he has done nothing wrong. Because the other guy went to take off, and he went to take off.
Yeah, but what is the rule? Is it like NASCAR? I mean, is it like a couple rules where you can't pass the leader till you get past
But
the
if
start
you
finish?
spin the tires, that is.
Well, that's just sort of, come up. Yeah.
It's not like they have the ability to see this,
However they want to call it.
There's enough eyes. I mean, they can see it. They should be able to.
No, it didn't. But anyway, it's history now.
Yeah.
Call.
I mean, hell, if I had a nickel for every time there was a bad call, I mean,
Been there, done that.
yeah, I mean, it sucks, but I mean, there ain't nothing you can do about it. Especially after the fact, it's done. They're not changing it.
No.
I mean, that's not going to happen. I don't care if you prove it with a shadow of a doubt. They're not changing it.
Too late. So sad.
That's it.
So what else we got in racing news? We were talking earlier about the Swan Racing.
Done. They are done.
Stick a fork in them.
I know. I thought they were supposed to have pretty good funding with the guy that owns it. Why would they run 2 teams? I mean, I don't understand why they wouldn't have just run 1 team, put all the resources in, and keep it going longer. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
I don't know what the deal is. I know Ron Devine is going to absorb the 26. into BK Racing. So BK Racing will be a 3-car operation. The 30 car, which is Klingerman's car, they sold all the points and everything for that team.
Oh, they already have?
They sold that to the 44, which is JJ Yaley's in the Extreme Motorsports car.
Yeah, but I don't know how. I mean, I don't know what you've heard about the guy that owns that car, but I know there's a lot of.
They've had their problems. They've restructured twice since the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I know last year they didn't think he was going to be back this year because he owed a bunch of people a bunch of money.
Well, evidently he's
Still squandering.
He's still floating around somehow or other.
Yeah.
And I understand they're going to show up at Richmond. So
Yeah, because him and JJ's kind of buddies or something there.
so that's the big deal there.
Got the Denny Hamlin Foundation race
And
tomorrow night.
they're down there practicing tonight. And I understand Peyton Sellers is the fastest car in practice.
Figured that.
Peyton knows that track.
So,
That's his track.
so he's going to be tough.
He's won before.
Yeah, he's going to be hard to beat. I mean, what is he like? For the last 2 years, I mean,
He's won a bunch of races, but he's not.
he won every race last year. Every race.
No, Pulliam won a bunch of.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I was assuming so. Yeah.
Pulliam won a bunch of races.
He ain't running the showdown.
Pulliam is not going to be in the showdown.
Sorry, I was getting into
He's going to be in the K&N race. A lot of the guys that said they were not going to do both of them, they were going because they've got to be up there tomorrow morning first thing.
Because they're
At
practicing
Richmond,
everything.
yeah.
They're in Richmond. They're practicing in Richmond tomorrow.
Yeah, they're qualifying tomorrow too, ain't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, for them, registration opens at 10 in the morning. Their crew chief meeting is 11:45. Their garage opens at noon.
I know we won't be there.
Tomorrow I won't be there either, but yeah, but Friday morning their stuff opens up at 7:30 in the morning. Their final practice is at 9. And
That's got to be interesting how they're going to do all that with the three.
3 sets of haulers.
I mean, where in the world? It was already jam packed in there anyway.
Well, what they're probably going to do is the area where they used to have a lot of the cars parking at. For
That's going to be the
K&N guys.
K&N parking area.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they use where all those cars are. That's generally
Okay,
not. That's
now.
not used during
Now,
Fridays.
okay, that's good. And of course, I know there's not a lot of how you get back and forth. Are they going to pit them out on? Are they going to let them pit on the pit road? Or are they going to let them drive back into the garage area?
Oh, they'll probably have them pitted on pit road because.
All right.
I'd say the K&M will pit on pit road, and the Nationwide guys will be in the garage.
Yeah, the Nationwide always have they're always in there in the garage, in their section behind their trailers. But I think there's what. Well, now there's probably not. It's probably not but what 43 cars now because it's 45 initially.
What, for the cup race?
For the cup race. And usually 5 or 6 of those cup teams usually have to pit out on pit road too.
Yeah, because and right outside the garage.
Yeah, they're outside the main part of the garage right there where everybody else is.
Yeah.
What, you talking about the cup guys? Where
Yeah.
they're gonna,
The lower the points.
yeah, they're usually stuck in that middle in that large area between the garage and the NASCAR.
But usually they'll try to do on pit road because it's not level there. So
During
it's
practice,
hard for them
during
to-
practice, they go out on pit road. They're out there,
Because it's level.
and then they move them in after qualifying. They move them inside the garage after qualifying. But being there's not but maybe 43, they may not do that this time.
Well, they don't get there until Friday morning though.
Yeah,
Or the trucks
No.
come in Thursday.
the
No.
trucks come in tomorrow night.
Haulers
Yeah.
come in 12 p.m. tomorrow.
Cup haulers, they'll be
Cup
in tomorrow.
haulers, yeah. And the cup registration starts at 1:30 tomorrow.
Because they have tech tomorrow. Cup
Yep,
the cup,
because
Oh,
the
really?
garage opens
they
and
moved it up
inspection
then.
starts at 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Cup tech. You got Nationwide tech tomorrow. You got the K&N guys are going to be practicing tomorrow. The K&N guys are going to practice. I mean, the Nationwide guys are going to have a practice.
Yeah,
Between
they're,
1 and
they're
2.
doing all their practicing and then they qualify Friday.
I've got my timesheet here.
Okay, well you got all that over there, but
Yeah, between 1 and 2 tomorrow, Nationwide will be practicing. Their final practice is from 2:30 to 4. Then practice at 4:10 for the K&N guys.
Is she calling us, or we got to call her?
She's supposed to be calling us.
How you is it Alba? Is that how you pronounce
Alba.
Cologne.
it? Say that again.
Cologne.
Colon.
Cologne or colon?
Cologne.
Cologne is it.
Cologne.
Okay. She should be calling any time then, right?
She's supposed to be trying to call now.
Oh yeah, they said Yaley's he's going to be in the 35. Yeah, because I thought that guy who had Swan, because the guy who, I guess he's CEO or something with Swan Oil. Swan Oil's not no small,
No.
Swan, yeah.
outfit. So I guess that'll pretty much guarantee.
It's 727-9263, right?
Yeah, 757-727-9263. Yeah.
That's what I sent. Supposedly she's trying to call now. Anyway.
Okay.
The lines are open.
So, what's going on in the world of Scott Allen? I see you. I see you
living the life.
I see you got. I mean, you're the big arena race guy now. Got your pictures all. You know.
Hey man.
Of course, we couldn't figure out which one was you. But
You got a lot of publicity on that one.
That was pretty funny. No, it was from a couple of weeks ago where we did the home and flower show or home and garden show at the pavilion at the oceanfront with Miles of Seamless Gutter. So if you need any gutters, call Miles.
Oh, you were doing the flower power thing.
No. But it's a good time. We have a lot of fun doing the shows. A lot
Could
of
have had the
kids
Scott
come
and
by.
Scott flower power hour.
It's good for other sponsors because a lot of other people come by, and it's kind of funny because this lady comes up and she's on one of those little shifties, riding around. Apparently, she works at the convention center down at the ocean front. She says, "Do you know Ricky Dennis?" I said, "Well, yeah." She's like, "Well, that's my son." So it was Ricky's mom. I don't know, but Ricky's brother is actually partners with Dennis Elmer with the Priority Group. And runs the dealerships. It's kind of funny. She moved up here. She's 13 years ago to help with her grandson, or grandbaby, whatever. And she hadn't left. She works at the convention center.
Who was the mascot?
You still texting her?
That was just another.
If you got her
guy
number,
that had
why
a
don't we
booth
just
in
call
there
her?
that does those mosquito spray.
no, this is not. This is something else.
Oh.
Not text.
Does your wife know you're texting women like this?
Yep.
He has to check his phone in every night.
But the shows are a lot of fun, and it brings a lot of attention to their booth, which is good.
So either one of y'all, are you going to take and try to go to the Denny Hamlin race?
No. It's too far to go.
That was the only bad thing is being, 3 hours out. I feel like I'm in Martinsville almost.
Well, you're close, but
Well, yeah, you're 3 hours out, and that's one more hour to Martinsville. So
yeah.
that far out, I'd be snoozing again in the America's Best Value out there.
That's just too far to go to try to come back, and some of us got to work, got to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And no call yet?
Ding, ding.
You ain't popular, man. What do you do? Pay these people to text you or something? I didn't know you had that many friends. Gordon and Pops, you 4 friends.
By the
you're all
way,
here.
Marcus Ambrose is working with the Race for a Miracle. If he wins, Stanley is going to donate $1 million to the Children's Miracle Network through Ace Hardware Foundation.
That's pretty cool, but I think their money's safe.
Start talking news and
Let's talk racing.
Hi, this is Jack.
This is Jack. How you doing, Miss Clone?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm glad you got through to us. I understand you had a little bit of a problem.
No problem at all.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to call tonight. I've heard a lot about you. I've seen you at the racetracks. I've talked to you a couple times a few years ago when my son was working over at Phoenix.
Okay.
And what I would, you've got a very interesting background and everything that you've done through the years. Tell us how you got started in motorsports.
Oh, wow, that's a story, okay?
Okay.
No, but, it's a very short one. It has to be with being in the right place at the right time, and also not only that, it's just, just to have the right tools, and that's what put me in the right place, Pretty much doing a project related with race cars when I was in college, a very educational program sponsored by the SAE International. I got the opportunity to meet the right people from General Motors, and they hired me in the motorsports program. And from there, my whole career has been going up in the motorsports arena. I started as a data acquisition engineer and did other programs before I got to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
Now you are the program manager. Basically, what all do you do as far as assisting the teams?
Okay, we do a lot of things, but mainly, the basic deal is we manage the technical resources that in specific General Motors Chevrolet provides to the race teams, and that goes. Let's talk from chassis side to the aero side, engine also, tools. Our job is just to help the engineers, to help the teams, to have the right technology and, to make them faster and to make them better, and in that way they can win races. One of the reasons why Chevrolet does this is because this is a great marketing tool. Mm-hmm. Where we can showcase, our technology and so on. We can also, exchange technology, exchange knowledge, prepare engineers in the area of racing, that they will go later to the production world and so on. So, that's basically, what we do. We help the teams technically speaking, and we do also other marketing things, no engineering related, but our relationship with the teams, not only technology, but in many areas, and we help each other. But bottom line is to provide the right technology for them to win races and win championships.
Now, you've got the Childress and Earnhardt, the Hendrick two camps or two divisions of the Chevrolet in NASCAR. How does that work with, when you got the two different people basically representing the Chevrolet brand, but they don't actually work that close together, or do they work that close together?
That's a good question. We have had this room for some time. We have what we call the concept of key partners, and what that consists is in the following. We learned some time ago that, the teams can work separate and trying to duplicate everything, and pretty much we realized that doesn't work really well. So we decided, let's get together all the teams and start to work, together in technologies that will make sense,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and to help each other. So when we talk about, let's say, developing tools that will help, the teams, not only in the engine side, but also in the, when we talk about chassis, aero, things that will help each other, and, we work as a group, and advance them as a group. After that, it's up to them, to work on the specific, details, that will have to concentrate only on what the specific team is doing, and as appropriate, property of them.
Now, it's a known fact that NASCAR is a predominantly male sport. How hard was it for you to get into this sport and be able to work with some of the people that you've had to work with? And was it a hard, or did they give you a hard time when you got started?
You know, one thing I will tell you, you know, I love to work, you know, with everybody in the sport, and you know, and I am, you know, I use a phrase, you know, that I don't want to be misunderstood, but I'm just one of the guys. I'm just part of the team, okay? You know,
right.
And we all respect each other, and we value completely what each person has, you know, brings to the team. So that's very key. You know, when I came to the sport, wow, I will say that's almost 20 years ago, okay? Believe it or not. You know, things were a little bit different. There were not too many engineers, and I was an engineer. There were not too many, you know, Hispanics, and I am a Hispanic, and also as a woman. So, you know, I brought a couple of, you know, different things that were not happening in the sport, and maybe in not only NASCAR, but in many sports, you know.
Right.
And so, at first it was a little bit challenging, but again, it was for everybody getting to know, you know, each other and trying to understand what you know, what me as a person, as a professional, as an engineer, was bringing to the sport, and specifically to the Chevy teams that we were helping, you know.
Right.
So, you know, it was a little bit challenging, but you know, if you know me really well, people that knows me know that I love challenge, you know. and you know, the experience was great, and we all learned from each other, and we learned that, you know, the teams learned where I could bring them, how I could help them, and, you know, pretty much right now it's just I am part of the team, you know.
Well, you know, I looked at a video the other day when I was looking through stuff, and a video of you, and I understand you had a little thing with Dale Earnhardt when he first came in.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. But you are probably one of the most beloved people in the garage area. I've heard my son talk about you. I've heard crew chiefs talk about you. I mean, everybody holds you in very high regard.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and you know, it's great to hear those words. So thank you for that. You know, it just has to be. You know, the teams know. They know I'm very passionate about what I do, and I am very passionate also about providing them, you know, the right tools, you know.
Right.
And you know, I am different. You know, I am different. I do business in a different way. You know, once again, maybe the woman touch or something. You know, you know what I mean. You know, but. You know, I work in a different way, but once again, at the end of the day, they know that they are my priority in what we're doing, and that I put my complete heart and soul and everything that we need to do as a company, you know, to be sure that they have, you know, the right tools, and that they go and on Sunday can win those races. So, you know, everybody in the sport is like a family. We're all family there, and you know, and I really enjoy working with all of them. So thank you for those nice words.
And one of the things, now, how much do you work with NASCAR itself about? Now we had the changes from the Generation 5, whatever the cars, and now we're talking next year downsizing motors and everything. How much do you or General Motors play into that situation with them?
You know, that's a very good question. You know, we have always had a good relationship with NASCAR, and I'm not talking only of Chevrolet, but the other brands also. But, you know, when we started to work, like almost 4 years ago, yes, pretty much 4 years ago, on the new generation, the Gen 6 vehicle, you know, the partnership with NASCAR was developed in a very, very different way. And the way that we all work together with NASCAR to collaborate, to make things happen, it completely, you know, it became something that we haven't done before, and it became such a great experience, you know. We were not only at that time the 4 manufacturers working together, and now the 3 manufacturers, but we were partners. We were all partners, not between only us, but with NASCAR too. And we learned that it's better all of us work together, you know, to create a product that will be good for the teams, the fans, and so on, you know. That experience was so great, you know, and NASCAR enjoyed that so much that now when we talking about, you know, possible engine changes, or if we were talking in the future about if we need to do another aero changes or, you know, chassis changes and so on, we are still working together, and you know, and we have realized that partnership is very, very key. You know, if you notice, you know, for this year, compared with the last year, there were some, you know, couple of changes, aero and chassis wise, and you know, NASCAR worked with us on those changes, and you know, we use our tools, you know, to help them to tell them, hey, maybe this works, maybe this doesn't work. Let's work with our teams and let's make these things happen. So the partnership has been great, and we communicate in a weekly basis, you know, just to be sure that we are all in the right direction. You know, at the end of the day, you know, Jack, we all want the sport to succeed.
Right.
Well, you know, and we all have to work together, you know, to make this thing happen. Not only NASCAR, the OEMs, but the teams, everybody, you know, and at the end of the day, we want to put a great product for the fans every weekend.
And you know, one of the things I gotta say before we let you go, it's really great to know that I've heard a couple crew chiefs say you are the main reason why they have got so many awards or whatever you call it for the you know, manufacturer championship and whatever. You were very vocal and very prominent role in that.
Thank you once again, and you know, once again, I would be on. You know, I see this as a team. It's a team deal. It's not only us. Everybody. You know, my engineers, the teams, everybody. You know, we work as a group. You know, to make these things happen. So I'm looking forward to a great year, another manufacturer championship, and of course another drivers championship. And you know, right now our focus is, you know, like many other teams, to get as many wins and to put as many drivers as we can, you know, for the chase of the championship, and to have a great celebration, you know, at the end of the year.
I can't wait. I hope it works out.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey, well, I got a question. Some of the technology that y'all learn on the racetrack, does that translate into the product that's on the street?
Yes, it depends on the series, you know. Let me give you you know, just let me give you a very explicit example, you know.
Okay.
Not familiar with NASCAR, but just to give a quick example. If you see today the Corvette, the new Corvette that is out there, the new Stingray C7, you know, a lot of the things that were developed on what we call the C6R, that what we raised for the last 2 or 3 years, you know, they came to be part of the new production car that is the Stingray today. You know, that's a very simple example, you know, of how things, you know, transfer from the racing side to production and vice versa. You know, when we talk about the Cup series, you know, some of the stuff that we were learning from fuel injection, you know, they were applied to the car and so on. Some of the suppliers, you know, things like that. Some of the engine technology, you know, they have been transfers back and forward.
Well, Ms. Colon, we appreciate your time tonight. I will let you get back to whatever you were doing. Are you going to be in Richmond?
Yes, I will be there.
Okay.
That place.
All right, well, we'll be talking to you again. I hope I can get you back on here again and we can talk some more.
It will be my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me in your show, and I am looking forward to the next time, and to, you know, the race fans, you know, get what they are looking for from all of us. And really thank you to you for allowing me this opportunity, but really thank you to the fans for supporting our sport every weekend.
Well, we appreciate you being what you do for the sport too. Thank you a lot, and we'll talk with you again.
Okay. Have a good evening.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. I wish we had.
On
Yeah.
you, Monkey.
Got to train him how to take and do a conference so he can listen while she's talking next time, or vice
Now they
versa.
want to hang up on it, but that was too important of a call.
Uh-oh.
Let's talk racing.
Well,
Hello.
Danny,
morning.
Is this Danny Bohn?
This is him.
How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
All right. You got Jack Dodson and Scott Allen and Roger Brehm here tonight, and want to hear about what's going on with you. What kind of things you got going on?
Oh, just actually getting ready for Bohn Racing Stadium. It starts opening nights this weekend, so
Yeah.
a little break from the tour, and now we're full swing at Bowman Gray. And we have one tour race on July 4th, but it's pretty much every weekend we'll be at Bowman Gray until the end of August.
So you run the regular series there at Bowman Gray on the regular racing there?
Yeah, I drive the 53 car for Puddin' Swisher.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, Parker, what is Parker Bohn to you? Is that your cousin or brother or?
The bowler,
Yeah, the bowler.
that's my cousin.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was your cousin. I talked to him not too long ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
There's actually 4 of them. That's why I always get confused because some people, know my grandfather from racing, but my cousin's a professional bowler too. So they say, "Oh, who's Parker?" You kind of, well, which one?
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know there was more than one. Well, give us a little background how you got started in racing and what all you've been in over the years.
Well, I was kind of born into it. My grandfather raced up in New Jersey. That's where I'm originally from. He raced in New Jersey, New York, Delaware, all up there. And then my dad carried on the family tradition, and he started racing mainly he raced at Evergreen, he raced at Wall Stadium a lot, and just, mainly tracks around the area. So when I was born, I was kind of at the racetrack every Saturday night, and it was a little tough, because I don't come from a wealthy family, but, the New Jersey state law is that you can race quarter midgets under 18, but other than that, you had to be 18 to drive any kind of race car in the state of New Jersey. So it was kind of tough for me to get a start in racing. I grew up on quads and dirt bikes and all that stuff, but then they actually started allowing kids to drive the Bandolero cars at Wall Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So I started in that, and I ran a couple races in 2003, and then 2004 is my first full season. I raced those. And I ended up, they had like 18 cars when I first started racing, and I won 13 out of 16. I think by the end of the season, there's only about 6 that would show up. So we had a pretty successful season, my first full season racing. And then at 15, I was 15 years old at the time, so I really couldn't drive anything otherwise of that in the state. But they did pass a law that you could drive, they changed the law to 16, so they started that new division at Wall Stadium. It was the man division, they called it. It was a modified car, but we ran a crate motor and a little smaller tire.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually cool because I didn't have a car to run it. I really wanted to race it. So they ended up, my dad and one of his friends built like 7 modified in 91, 92, 93. And we ended up actually getting one of his original cars that he raced in 1992. And it was sitting in a garage. They started it up every once in a while, but it wasn't on the racetrack for like 10 years. We drove it out of the garage and put a motor in it and went through everything. And I ended up actually winning like 6 or 7 races my first season in that car. Won the championship in 2006, 2007. Did the same thing, raced the same division, won 7 races, 8 races, I think, won the championship again. And I was also ran some, I guess you would call it an SK modified at Wall Stadium, and for a guy, Frank Tilton, and I actually won in one of those in 2007 too. So kind of pretty much just started at Wall Stadium, and then my brother started racing in between there, and I was just graduating high school and kind of really didn't have anything going on. So my dad grew up racing with Ray Evernham and is real good friends with Ray Evernham. And Ray started this new shop down here about 6.5 years ago. He called my dad and said, "Hey, I'm starting a new thing down here, and was curious to see if you wanted to move down and my shop." So I didn't really have anything going on. Of course, I wanted to be a race car driver, so with no plans of racing, no job, no nothing, I just decided to move to North Carolina with my dad.
That's how it usually gets started.
Yeah, I mean, they say this is the place to do it if you want to be a race car driver. So, if I didn't do it, then I'd always be kicking myself in the butt saying, "Hey, I should have made the move," but I did it. So, fortunately, I ended up getting hired by Ray, so I still work for Ray now. Been there like 6.5 years, and he's helped me out a ton with racing. Like I said, I didn't have any plans on racing anything when I moved here. Just hope that someday maybe I'd be able to get in something. It started. Ray ended up buying East Lincoln Speedway down here.
Right.
And they run dirt modifieds there. Now, I've never raced dirt. My dad did, but never been on dirt before. He said, "Hey, I think you should get one of these dirt modifieds that runs over here. They run pretty good, and they're cool. They get a good field and good competition." So, I never even seen one before. So I went on here and had this searching and found one around the corner from here for sale. And we bought that, and the guy that I bought it from ended up helping me out a little bit. I didn't win any races in the points season, but I ended up winning the biggest race of the year, my first season, and ended up winning the championship at East Lincoln Speedway in 2009.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I did that, and just a race fan. Everyone talks about Bowman Gray Stadium, so made a few trips up there, sat in the grandstands, just, the Myers and the Browns and all that. They didn't know who I was, nothing, I was just another person in the grandstand, wishing and hoping that someday I'd be able to race there. So we had that old car that I raced on Wall in 2006 and 2007. We brought it down with us, and I ended up getting a motor for it. So I was going to go try to race at Bowman Gray Stadium. Grandfather actually did come down and race there in the late 50s, but other than that, no one else in my family has. So it was a pretty cool honor to be able to just say at least I raced there,
That's right.
So we ended up going there the first night, and a little bit to learn over there. It's not your average racetrack, but I didn't do so well, so we did our homework over a week, and I ended up going back the next week. They had sprint 25. I qualified bad, started in the back, somehow missed a big wreck, got up to 8th, and finished 8th in the first race. Well, for the second race, they invert. They just pick out a hat at 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So they end up drawing 8, and I have no clue even what that means. I'm just sitting there, I'm going to go race the next race. Well, Bert Myers comes over to me and says, "Hey, you start on the pole."
All right.
This is my second week there. I don't even know, where do you even restart? They got different rules over there. So he actually did give me the lowdown on what to do. Ended up winning my second night ever at Bowman Gray Stadium. So that was a pretty cool deal. So I ran Bowman Gray that whole season. I had to miss a couple races. I raced some late models for Day 30, that past series. Did some dirt racing, throughout the season because I still had the dirt car. And I won a few races on dirt. We were able to win a couple races. Then the 8th had a couple Bowman Gray modified races. We won some of those. Kind of just wanted the next step, I guess you can say. And it's tough, to make it as a driver without big financial backing and, the big sponsors. But figured the next step would be something, that I was comfortable with. And, the Southern Tour was the perfect, I thought, opportunity and direction to go. It's not a ton of money. And you could somewhat do it without full-time help and stuff like that. So we ended up buying a brand new car from Jamie Canano, which I've never had a brand new race car in my life, so was real excited about that. And ended up having a good season. My goal was I wanted to win as a rookie. No one else really did ever win as a rookie in the Southern Four, so I set that goal and ended up winning at Caraway my first season on the tour, and somehow finished second in points. It was kind of a little bit of luck, but we finished races, and we ran good, and so that was definitely a pretty cool feat. And actually ended up winning most popular driver on the tour in 2012, my first season ever running it. So I guess you could say my best season was 2012. 2013, there was the only highlight about that was, I don't know if you guys watched Daytona, but I was upside down on my roof on fire.
Yeah, I did see that.
That's pretty much how my whole season went. It's just, you have walking, racing is part skill and part luck, and I could say I got lucky for the seasons before that a little bit here and there, but last year if anything could go wrong, it would go wrong. But, it's the new season, so we're running better. I qualified on the pole a couple weeks ago at South Boston, finished third. Langley still, I don't know, I think the track might have something against me. 2012, I qualified on the pole there, my rookie season. Never even got to take the green. The rear end broke on the parade laps before we took the green.
Dag.
So, yeah, it's just one of those deals. And then, a couple weeks ago at Langley, we qualified third, and probably had a top 3 car. There was 25 laps to go, and the drive shaft yoke broke, so that ended up and everybody asked what happened. I told them what happened. They said, "Oh, I've never heard of that before." So.
Well, then I'm not going to ask you the next question I had. My next question was, how'd you like Langley? So I guess we pretty much got the answer to that already.
I love the racetrack. I love going there. I love the facility. It's a really nice racetrack. They get a really good crowd. The area is nice, but it's just, I love going back. I'll go back there because I need to redeem myself. I did finish 5th there last year, I believe it was. So that's not bad. But there's just something about that track. I don't know. I just don't have any luck there. But hopefully, if we go back there towards the end of the season, so hopefully we'll have a turn around.
Now, you mentioned Daytona and the bad luck you had at Daytona. What do you think about that situation there at Daytona with how they've got the track set up and putting those modifieds on there? What do you think about that?
Well, the track was a little difficult because the straight areas were so long. And just for setting up the car wise, the gear range was so wide. So you'd either, you'd want to be fast at the other end of the straightaway or you'd want to get off the corner. I was practicing mostly by myself. If I would ever got out front, I would have been fine. But when I was on them double file restarts and was stuck on the inside, I'd drop back 4 or 5 spots. But then when I'd restart on the outside, I'd gain them all back. So it was just a tough racetrack. They put a big hype around it, so everybody wanted to go out there and, show everyone what they had, but they ended up, not making it as good as it could have been, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
It's no different than like a Bowman Gray. It's flat. It could work. I think it was definitely better this year. I didn't go down there this year, but just from watching, there was probably 10 times less wrecks this year than there was last year. So maybe it was just the hype around it for the first season. Everybody wanted to go down there and prove, they were going to go win the race, but they had to make it halfway through the race before they were going to win it.
Well, the first year definitely delivered. I mean, that was definitely a lot of fun to watch, and it was a lot of last lap.
Well, Danny, what are you looking for? And you're doing the Southern Modifieds now. Are you looking to, in the future, to move into something else? Maybe up to K&N trucks, whatever.
Well, I'd love to do something like that. Problem is, you don't want to talk too bad about the sport, but a lot of it's just come down to money anymore. How much sponsorship you can bring with you. And, like I said, I don't come from a wealthy family, so, I kind of just do what I can do. I enjoy what I'm doing. I was growing up around modified my grandfather raced them, my dad raced them, so that's kind of really all I know. Do I think I could do it? If I had an opportunity, yeah, but it's just tough to get that break, and they're coming, they're few and far between, and it's getting, less and less, opportunities out there because, there's a lot of these teams are looking for the funding behind it. It's just an expensive sport, but I'm just right now, I'm doing what I can do. I enjoy it. I enjoy the modifieds, like I said. I can't wait until Saturday night at Bowman Gray. It's a short track. It's an hour from my house, and some short tracks get 1,000 people, 1,200 people. You'll go there Saturday, there'll be 20,000 people standing and cheering. They'll be sending people out of there. So it's just a cool place to go race, and like I said, I just doing what I can do at it right now.
So how much does Ray help you with setup and those type of things? Because I can't imagine having somebody like Ray that you could go pick their brain as much as success as he's had and innovation and stuff.
Well, my dad my dad raced modified his whole life, so my dad's pretty knowledgeable when it comes to racing, the modified stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Ray will help me if I ask. He doesn't. He kind of lets us try to do our own. Let's just do our own thing. But if I ask him any kind of question, he'll definitely tell me his opinion. Whether he says I'm not 100% sure if I'm right, but my thought would be, and kind of go from there. He's definitely helped me out a ton at Bristol. He's won there a ton of times with Jeff, and he ended up going there a little early my 2012 season. I didn't race there last year just because the season I was having and the expense to go there, but I ended up finishing 7th there my rookie season, which wasn't too bad considering I've never run a lot there, so he definitely helped me out a lot there. Right now I keep my cars at his shop, so it's definitely, he helps me out a ton there, because I have the equipment and the space to do what I need to do.
Well, that's cool. He let you use the shop there and everything. So, have you been back out to do any more dirt racing, or are you giving up on that?
When I sold my cars, it was kind of at the point where, racing locally around here, I needed to kind of, because I think my last season I won 11 or 12 races and out of like 20. So I kind of needed to start venturing outside the box a little bit and travel a little bit, but that just gets expensive, and then, my dad's working for Ray, I'm working for Ray, so, you don't want to take a ton of time off work. The modified, the asphalt stuff kind of fit my schedule a little better, but I do once in a while. My friend Kyle Strickler, he wins dirt modified races all over the country. He's won like 6 this year. He's got a couple cars, and last year I drove one a couple times, so it's just tough though with my scheduling right now, because like I said, I think I race every weekend until October as of right now. So, trying to find the time to run a dirt car. I'll definitely do it if I have an opportunity and I'm not racing something else that night.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, they'll give you time to thank your sponsors and everything, and we appreciate your time tonight, and hope to get you back on here real soon. And hopefully, when you get back to Langley, you'll have a better run.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Like I said, we run good there, but it's just that bad luck. I guess you could say the monkey's on my back there, but we'll get it. I think next time I think we'll be pretty good.
You could just do like Kevin said when he finally won the 600. He said, "What had changed to win the race?" He said, "Probably if you just had a better attitude, you'd probably run better."
I have a pretty good attitude most of the time, but like I said, I've thought of every possible way. But I have no idea what has changed or why it's changed, but that's the way it goes. I mean, I can't. There's no one to blame, nothing to blame. It's just the way it is. So you just ride it out. Keep doing what you do, and it'll turn around eventually. I hope so, at least.
Yeah. How old is your little brother?
Andrew.
Well, I don't know. I got a question up here. It says, "Does your little brother want to grow up and be like you?"
Oh yeah, Brandon. He's 8. He's actually my younger. I have a 22-year-old brother that races sportsmen and modifieds in New Egypt, New Jersey. But he also bowled throughout high school and stuff, and he was state championship as a sophomore, state champion individual as a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
Did the bowling thing for like 10 years, and taught my older brother how to bowl. So right now, I'm sure he would love to race, but he bowls like 4 nights a week. He's got like a 225 average at 8 years old.
Jeez. They'll probably make a lot more money bowling.
Yeah, it's probably a lot easier to make a living doing that than it is what we're doing.
With bumpers and nothing. I went and watched him a couple weeks ago. I went home. I went and watched him. He was bowling against like 16-year-olds. Kids almost, they look like me pretty much. And he's out there beating them. He's 8 years old. He's half their height. It's funny, but he'll be pretty good at that if he sticks to it.
Now, do you bowl?
I don't bowl, no. My older brother's pretty good at it. My younger two brothers are good at it.
Yeah. I mean, if I break 100, I'm happy.
And your cousin is really good at it.
Yeah, I just concentrated on the racing ever since I started up there, and then that's all I did down here. So.
Hey, Dan, I got an idea for you.
What's that?
This is an original idea.
Uh-oh.
You got all this people that's into this bowling, and you got Parker who is really big into bowling, and I know a guy that's big with Brunswick bowling that Parker knows real good. You need to hook up with him and get him to help sponsor your car.
That's a good idea. I think actually Parker is coming. He's got a tournament right down the road. I think next week, so I'm going to try to make it over there and see him. But now that I got this information.
and I'll tell you who the guy is. His name is Chuck Gardner.
Okay.
And he's with Brunswick Bowling. And I guarantee it'll work out for you.
All right. Well, I'll have to ask him about that. He might get mad because I might be taking some of his sponsorship.
well, you're right. I didn't think about that part of it. But
so much for the original.
But I know Parker and Chuck are real good friends. And I know Chuck is really big in the Brunswick bowling. That would be perfect for you. Tie all that together.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Either that or get his little brother a sponsor.
Yeah, that's right.
If he sticks to it, I don't think I'll have a problem. Like I said, I've seen, just around. We'll kind of watch the bowling, because my cousins and stuff like that. I've never seen anything like it. The kid he's only like 3 feet tall, and he goes out there. The ball's almost as big as him. And he goes out there and strikes after strikes. It's unbelievable.
So who in your family was the big bowler before your cousin? I mean, somebody had to start bowling probably to get your cousin or whoever into it.
Well, everybody in the family kind of, bowled and was pretty decent at it, but he was the first one that took it, to that level. He grew up, there was a bowling alley right down the road, and they helped him out a ton, and he was there every day, just practicing. And he got something, and you want to do it bad enough, sometimes things work out. So, fortunately, he was able to make a career out of it, and he's actually one of the best there was. So.
Well, when you talk to Parker and you get with Chuck, you tell him I sent you there.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay, all right. Go ahead and thank your sponsors, and we'll get back with you again real soon.
All right, got to thank Colon, Cedar Peaks, Brehm Enterprises, BeefGetFest.com, Bill Steam Shocks, Valvoline, Wicks, Stock Car Steel. All those people, they've helped me out throughout the years, and I wouldn't have been able to do any of what I've been doing, if it wasn't for them. So definitely got to thank them.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get you back on here real soon, and we'll definitely try to get you back on here around Langley.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Look at that. I done went out there and then stepped into the sponsor world.
Okay, I was going to say, I thought we was friends. You giving him a damn sponsor.
Well, I can't see you with a bowling ball.
What do you mean? Oops.
Other than that one.
But it's about a 10, 12 pounds.
But see, every time I talk to Chuck, he's always talking about Parker. So they're tight. They went to Japan together a couple months ago to bowl in a
How do you
tournament.
know this guy?
He used to race South Africa.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so then he's got the racing bug anyway. Right?
Yeah. So, that would be, that's a perfect situation.
Oh, yeah. It would be, I think it would be great for those guys because it ties their family in together and it would bring a lot of attention.
Huh?
I bought Chuck Gardner's car.
Yeah.
Sure did.
So, yeah, it works out.
No, that would be pretty cool. And it would bring a lot of attention.
Yeah, and and knowing that they already know each other. It just kind of rung off in my head real quick. That's a pretty good little deal there. And then you see when all that hooks up, and then I'm gonna go down and say I set this up.
You take all the credit, right?
Yeah, okay.
You get everything but wrote the check, right?
Just remind him there's a 10% rule, okay?
So I'm gonna tell you, look what I did now.
Well, I figured with me, I need the sponsorship like Hermie.
Now,
wrestling.
Chuck has a RV that he parks at the back gate at Charlotte for every race. And so when I get home tonight, I'm gonna send Chuck a little message and say, look, if this works out, I'm coming to stay with. I'm staying.
Well, last time I took my motorhome and just parked there, my camper, and stayed across the street from the racetrack, on the racetrack parking lot, or in their campground.
It made it down there.
And back. Actually, camping is really pretty nice there. I mean,
It is nice there.
I mean, they're camping outside the race. Inside the racetrack's real tight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice because you don't have far to walk, but
It's jam packed in there. Though.
it is. It's tight. It's like 30 by 40 is their spots in there, and I mean, I couldn't fit my camper in my truck. I mean, none of their stuff fits in their stuff. It's just parked all over the place. But the campgrounds outside the racetrack are like 25 by 50, so they're really nice big spots.
And I noticed last time I was down there that it wasn't as jam packed as it has been in those camper areas too.
Yeah, I was down there because there was a couple bachelor parties I was over.
That's right. You were down there the last time I was down there. Yeah, that's right.
By the way, they do have 45 going out for the Cup race. They're trying to qualify.
Okay.
And they've got 40 for the Nationwide Series. So nationwide, everybody gets to race. And what was it? I saw something else too.
Well, I guess we'll know soon whether we're going to Charlotte or not.
No, that'll probably be after this week.
They're probably nice enough to let us go. Even if they don't, I'm gonna lie about it.
Boy.
All right.
Okay, let me get back to where I need to be.
Well, I wish we had more time with Alba, honestly. I wish we could have kept that going through the rest of the
Jack over there, he must have screwed something up to ever calling in late. I tell you.
That's good.
Well, we should just put the other guy on. We pushed him on.
I bet she'd come back on it though.
Yeah.
Come back in a heartbeat. She come back in a heartbeat.
I've already been texting with her, so I'm going to try to run into her up at Richmond. So to speak, figuratively.
That's pretty cool. I can't imagine though her coming into the sport when she did, because there really wasn't that many engineers. And I know I seen the same story about Dale Senior with her, because I guess she was assigned to the Childress team when she first came in. And I remember, I forget who was the first engineer? Was it David Smith?
Yeah.
They first came in the Childress, and he said they had the hardest time with Earnhardt, because he would come in and say, "What the car doing?" He said, "Well, the computer said." I said, "Well, it said it was loose." "Well, yeah, it was loose." It took a long time for him to embrace.
Yeah, he didn't want to be a part of the computer age. Yeah, he had a hard time dealing with that.
Honestly, that's really what catapulted those guys to win a few championships there. Because they were up on the competition. They was the first couple engineers in the sport.
But Dale Senior gave her a hard time when she.
Well, I think he gave everybody a hard time.
Yeah,
but
he really gave her one to start off with, and then when he won the championship the year that he gave her such a hard time, he brought her and made her come to Victory Lane because she played such an important part of that, and she's been around ever since.
Good.
It's pretty neat for somebody to come where she come from, and she was going to be an engineer for NASA, is what she originally wanted to do.
And that's something I should have asked her too, because that's what she wanted to do, was be with the NASA program, and she was really the girl, the one that got killed in the explosion. What was her?
Sally Ride.
Sally Ride. They knew each other.
Oh, really?
And they supposedly, that's what she wanted to do, was to be a part of that program. So that never worked out because she ended up going with GM. So,
Yeah.
but she is, you see her walking around the garage.
I've seen her
She
a lot of times. I
demands-
never knew who she was.
She not demands. She
Get respect.
gets the respect.
She commands it.
Yeah, commands it. That's
Not
it.
demands, but commands.
Yeah, that's it. But she really does. I mean, she.
We'll get you through the English language yet.
Well, I didn't pass English. That was a foreign language in my life. But
I'm with you on that one.
well,
Like the West Virginians.
But she's proven herself, though. I mean, she's proven herself.
But
And she's earned that respect.
But the thing is, like I told her on there, that she is one of the most beloved people in the garage. You will not see a crew chief. You will not see a crew member.
I bet she could have got us in Richmond.
You will not. Go back to where I'm going to finish that story. But I mean, she makes time for, if it's a guy who cleans the garage or does the little jobs, she makes time for all of them. She will speak to all of them.
Was there?
And if she's in that area,
That doesn't surprise me coming from a small country and stuff where she came from. I'm sure she came from nothing.
but she's really. I mean, she.
Not everybody's like Juan. That's a little bit of a jerk when they make it.
It's,
Well, did y'all enjoy everybody we had on tonight?
yes, I did. I enjoyed it.
Very good.
Well, the people we had on.
Trying to do that present company excluded thing.
Well, you shouldn't talk about Roger.
Into his
Yeah,
face.
we can do this.
I mean, it's really bad. Here's the guy running the show here, and you go talk trash about it.
He knew what I was talking about. I think it is funny.
You haven't had Scott Perlman bring by any more new books for
No,
you?
I hadn't seen Scott.
You haven't
Well,
seen?
I haven't seen him.
I don't think you're on his Christmas card list anymore.
Probably not. But the bad
Wherever
part
we'll
about it
be.
is, I hadn't seen you for a couple weeks, and then I seen this picture, and I couldn't figure out which one it was. And
Well, I told you.
I'm glad I got to see you. Glad I got to see you tonight.
So you know which one it is. Huh?
Yeah, I know which one it is. The big tall one.
Well, the guy said he had a 50-50 shot.
I showed that picture. I showed that picture to somebody. Was it my daughter? I think it was my daughter or my son-in-law. One. I said, "Look at this picture right here." And
This guy's the king of the show right here.
and he looked at me. And I think it was Clayton, my son-in-law. He looked at me. He said, "What kind of driver suits that dude wear?" I said, "I don't know, but he thinks he's somebody."
Was he talking about me or
Yeah, he thought you.
That's a Jimmy Johnson Kevin Harvick suit. That's a Jimmy John suit. Man, hey, if you can't do good, you at least look good.
And I preached that when I was racing. When I was racing, I preached, look good.
You look good?
I may not run worth a darn, but
What the hell happened to you?
all right, Roger, go ahead and turn this show off for me.
All right,
Before we get to word cheeks, that's that.
We'll talk to everybody next week then. Good night, all.
Hey guys, I'm Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bain, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, I'm Robert Richardson Jr., driver of the number 23 Dodge Challenger for R3 Motorsports in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're watching Let's Talk Racing.
I'm Tony Peter, driver of the number 17 Toyota NASCAR Camp World Truck Series, and you're listening to Let's Talk Racing.
Here's your 2011 champion, David Bohn.
Hi, this is David Polens, driver of the 33 NASCAR Late Model, 2011 Old Dominion Speedway Track Champion. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Racing TV.
I'm Sam Hunt, drive the 42 car on the thing Let's Talk Racing.
Hi, my name is Natalie Sather. I drive the 94 K&N Lady Eagle Safety, where Butler builds seats, bell helmets,